Now we have cast our penguin, and I'm going to show you how we finish it out, but I made the decision to cast it upside down. And why I did that, I don't know. I just thought I thought I would like the way it cast a little better if I did it that way, and I'm happy with it. So the first thing we got to do is take this sprue and button off, and I'm going to take a cutoff disc and cut it off. Well, needs a little more. Like that. All right, now we're going to anneal it. And annealing is just a process where it softens the metal up a little bit, makes it a little bit more malleable and easy to work with. And it takes all that black casting finish out that silver gets after casting. It takes it off. So we're just going to bring this to red hot for a second and then see what we got. All right, now, as you can see, it looks a little different. It's not black anymore. Now, I'm just going to clean up where the sprue was attached. All right, now you can see this little gap here. When I was twisting that sprue off, it bent it a little bit, but that's not that big a deal. Nothing a hammer won't fix. All right, now I'm just taking a rubberized abrasive wheel and just kind of going in here and smoothing out the edges. All right, what we have is 220 sandpaper, and what we have here is the back of the penguin with the machining marks on it. So I'm just going to sit here, and if I do this for a second, let me show you what it looks like just after a couple of passes. You can see that it's still got some low spots in it, so let me work on this till I get those out. All right, let's see what we got. Let's just flip this over, and Anna, take a look at that. And you can see now that we got all the machining marks out of it. Now I'm going to jump up to a 320 sandpaper, and I'm going to do the front side of it with 320. Just because I don't need to get very aggressive on the front like I did on the back. But if I do this for a little bit, this will just take a second here. And now you can see where all the high points of the fingerprint are. You can see it's got sanding residue in it, so let's just blow that out of there. And it looks like this. Now, I just need to polish the edges and the face of it across the front of this. All right, now we're just going to get into some of those little nooks and crannies my big polisher won't get into and smooth all this out. Getting ready to do now is I am just barely going to tack this little jump ring right here, where, as you can see out here, it's now attached to the penguin, because what we're trying to do is figure out where we want to put that little jump ring to make it hang a little bit like that. So let's see how we did. All right, that's our first attempt, so I'm gonna try it in another spot just to see. Well, if I can make my little jump ring steady. I think this is where we're going to go. So now let's just make it permanent. All right, now, because I just barely tacked that jump ring on there, this whole thing's going to slip on me here. Maybe not. But because I just barely tacked that jump ring on there, now what I'm going to do is solder it like that right there. Now that jump ring is permanent. All right, so this is what it's going to hang like now. It's going to have just a little bit of a tilt to it, and it's going to have a silver chain. This is just one I'm working on that was handy. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to put a blue zircon in the eye. Okay, so this blue zircon right here, it is 2.5 millimeters, and if I go up here, this is the burr I'm going to end up with, so I like to lay it down so I know where I'm at. But I'm going to start smaller because I like to kind of ease up to the correct size. So Anna, you may want to get right back here. So I'm just going to go in here. Get started. And then I'm going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4 more times before I get to the final. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the back here and just barely punch in. It just kind of countersinks that hole and makes it smooth on the back. All right, so now that stone is seated real nice and pretty, but what I'm gonna do is, let me turn this over. Kind of hard to see, but the back of the stone barely sticks through, which I kind of knew that was gonna happen, but in order to avoid that, we would have had to make the piece so much thicker, and we knew this was going to happen. But what I need to do is, before I set that stone, I'm going to get everything polished all the way around and get everything done, because once I set that stone, I don't want to touch it again except for adding the blacking. It shouldn't take but just a few passes to kind of clean up where I was working back there. Looks like that. So now what I like to do, put it straight and do one long pass. And it just kind of evens the finish out. And then I need to polish around here where I did this work. All right, so now I'm ready to set this stone, and I specifically have a hole drilled into my bench pin specifically for this reason. So when I set this over it, you may have to get a little higher up here, that now the part that's sticking out actually goes into that hole. So now I'm going to take a number, what is it, a 51? Somewhere in there. It's a 51 engraver that's got a little sharp point on it. And what I'm going to start doing is a process called raising beads. I'm just going to come right in here and get some metal to go over that stone. I'm going to do one over on this side. If I cuss, it means I broke it. All right, now I'm going to spin this whole thing around. I knew that was going to happen. Let me find it and we'll get back to it. All right, I'm going to try to catch me a bead right here. I'm going to try to get one more right here. Now, in theory, that stone should be tight. So now let me just kind of push these beads a little tighter and make the stone a little more secure. Okay, we've got it in place. You can see back there, it's all nice and tight. So now I'm just going to do a final polish on the front. Then we're going to put a ring on it. Nah, I'm not going to do the ring yet. We'll do the blackening first. Then we'll add the ring to hang the chain from. Ready to do some blackening, and everybody asked me what I use, and it's this stuff right here. And as you can see, I'm almost out, and I have to order some new, but I don't remember where I got it or what it's called. So if anybody knows, let me know. But I pour a little of it in a cap, and so watch this. Silver is a naturally tarnishing metal. So look at this right here, instantaneous. It changes the color. So we're doing this because what we're doing is darkening the background, and it doesn't matter if the high spots get this on it, and this is why I didn't want to put the ring on it yet, because to take this blacking off where I don't want it, I need a perfectly flat surface, and that ring right there that's going the other direction to hold the chain just gets right in my way. Right. Now, if it looks like I don't know how to color within the lines, you're right, I don't, but it really doesn't matter. What matters more than if I got some on the high spots, it's whether or not I got it all the way down into the low spots. So now let me rinse it off and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so now I've rinsed it off, and now I'm going to show you how the magic happens. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put it on this little magic polishing cloth. And you said I couldn't paint within the lines. And look at that right there. So now all we lack is putting the ring on it and the chain. Ain't that pretty? All right, the last thing we're going to do, other than polish this ring, is solder the ring that's going to hold the chain just like that. Give me a second to polish it, and we'll put a chain on it and show you the final.